Yo guys, how's it going? I'm coming with another tutorial, and in this tutorial I want to talk about the new challenge in CodeWar. And this challenge is pretty easy, so I'm going to start teaching you the easy challenges in CodeWars up to hardest. The first challenge, this is the first challenge which I did in the CodeWar, honestly. And honestly, I'm not going to upload my answer inside here because I just want to see the question, and then for the answer I'm going to put it in my YouTube channel so you can check it out. The instruction is that write a function that takes a single string as an argument. The function must return an ordered list containing the indexes of all capital letters in the string. It's pretty easy. Here we have an example. Here we have, for example, function or whatever. Imagine that the string is code words, and we know C is capital letter, E is capital letter, W is capital letter, and R is capital letter. So the result of this function need to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, and it is correct because it said the function must return an order list containing the indexes. So the index of C, which is capital letter, is 0, and the index of the E, which is capital letter, is 3, and index of W, which is capital letter, is 4, and R same, it's 6. So I'm gonna show you in my paint as well. A little bit explain to you. Okay, imagine that we have a Arcia, A, R, S capital letter, H, I, and A capital letter again. We know this is capital letter, this is capital letter, and this is capital letter, right? But what's the index of this? This is the index of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the result of our function in Python need to be something like that: 0, 2, and 5. If the result is going to be like that, that means we solved the challenge correctly. So it's honestly pretty easy, and I wrote it. I want to explain you in the code. First, you need to define your function. It's completely based on you. What kind of name do you want to put for your function? I just put capital finder, and then I just gave a argument to this function, and the name of the argument is word because it's a meaningful word for the argument. And I create a variable with the name of num, which is equal with number, and this num is equal with the index. Why I put it -0? Because here, as I told you, index in Python or index in most of the programming language, or I can say all of them, start with 0. And if here I'm going to put the num or index, I can change it to index as well. For example, index doesn't really matter, index, and here we have index, and here we have index as well. So I put the index to -1, so that means the default value of index is -1. Why? I'm going to explain to you like when we go to talk about here, about this line 6, 7. And then I create another variable which is the empty list, and the reason for this one is that because we want to get the result in a list, and inside that list it has to be the indexes number, and those indexes number are the indexes number of letter which have a capital letter. And I simply say for W in word, that means for anything which exists in the word, and word is a argument which in the line of 15 and 16 we are going to give it to it, because we say here a string is the input, and then we put our input and we equal this input with the word argument. So I'm going to talk about this as well a little bit for when we go in a line of 15 and 16. But anyway, what does that mean? That mean, imagine that we have the function of let me show you what's the name, capital finder, right? I'm gonna write capital underline finder. It's better to be a capital letter for function name and variable name and everything, but it's completely up to you. And then I'm gonna say, okay, what's the argument of this? It's a word, right? It's a word. So I'm gonna put any word which I want. For example, I'm going to put the word of my name, Arshia, with the A capital letter, R S H, I capital letter, and A regular, and in a double quotation. So in this function here, which is a capital finder, the word value is Arshia. So the result need to be something like this: 0, because A, which is a capital letter, exists in the 0 index, 1 2 3 4 index, and index 4, and that's it, and we close the list. So the result needs to print something like that. So when I put the word argument here, that means any word which user is just going to put inside this function, then we are going to check it out. And now I'd say for W in the word, what does that mean? Let me show you what does that mean. Let me close this and open it again. It's better. Okay, I'm gonna say we have Arshia, and it is equal with a word, right? Because it is a word, which is my name. I'm saying for W, it can be anything, for I, whatever, or for letter, in word. And then here is gonna be our code. Anyway, that means for each letter exists in this variable, that means for A, for R, for S, for H, for I, and for A, for each of them. In C# we say for each, right? So it's kind of same. In Python it's easier. So for each of the letter which exists in this string, which is Arshia, for each of the letter, for A, for R, for S, H, I, A, for each of them, I said here, if each of these letters inside the word is upper is a built-in function in Python, is upper. That means if each of these letters was a capital letter or upper letter, so we simply say if A, let me show you, if A was capital, if R was capital, if S was capital, H was capital, I was capital, A, and so on. If each of these letters was capital letter, and then I say if that was true and each of this letter was capital letter, simply try to add the index plus equal 1. And as I told you, this one is index, and I put the value of index variable to -1, because we know in Python and in most of the programming language, index gonna start from 0. So if I'm going to put our index value to 0 and then here I add it to 1, is going to start by 1, but I don't want that. I want the index start by 0. So I put the index value to -1 and said, okay, now if each of those letters was upper, try to add index with 1 value. Try to sum it with plus with 1 value. And then we have an empty list here, which is the L variable. Try to append it, which means add a value to the list. Try to L.append the index. What is the index? 0. What does that mean? Simply, it's mean, for example, we have Arshia, A-R-S-S capital, H-I. We have these two letter capital. For each of them we are going to check which one is capital, and if one of them was capital, for example A was capital, we are going to plus equal with index 1. What does that mean? That means, let me show you, index plus equal 1. What does that mean? That means we are going to say, okay, so if one of these letters was capital, try to add 1 to the index value, which the index value was -1. So -1 plus 1 is going to be 0. So we are going to say add 1. That means add 1. That means this variable, this letter is capital, and it exists in the 0 index. And then I say, so, and after that try to add that index to the L variable, which is the empty list. So the variable is going to be L equal list 0 and then close. So we know 0 index is a capital letter. But else, we have an else condition as well, and we say, okay, if that was not true, that means if the letter was not uppercase or if the letter was not capital letter, you have to add the index, because it has to keep continue and go and check the other letter, right? You have to add the index anyway. So you have to add it plus 1 anyway, but you don't have to add that word to the list variable, which was the empty list, because this variable is the variable which at the end we are going to return it and print it out. And because we want to show this variable, and we want to show all of the data and all of the values which exist in this variable are indexes of uppercases letters. So simply I said, if the letter was uppercase, add index, that means keep continue and go ahead. For example, from A go to R, from R go to S, from S go to H. So go one, that means try to add 1 and keep continue, go to the next letter. But at the same time, try to append the index of that to the L variable, which was the empty list. So we are going to understand that letter which exists in that index, which exists in that 01 index, which exists in that index, is the capital letter. But anyway, I said if that was not uppercase, try to add the index and try to go and keep continue and go to the next letter, but don't add anything in the L variable, and continue and go back again in the loop. So it's pretty easy. And at the end, when the for loop gets finished, try to print the L, because L exists the index of all of the letters which are uppercase. And simply at the bottom in the line of 15 and 16, I said create a variable with the name of a string input. So let user to write his own value, enter your word, user can put any word which he want, and then put that variable as an argument of word into the capital finder function. So it's pretty easy, right? So if right now I'm going to run my program, it's just going to ask me enter your word, and I'm going to go to find the capitals in the CodeWar challenge. We have the CodeWar word here, and we know the C letter is capital, the E letter is capital, the W letter is capital, and the R letter is capital, right? So we know the index of 0 is capital, the index of 0, 1, 2, 3 is capital, 4 is capital, 5, 6 is capital, and that's it. So we know the index of 0 is capital, we know the index of 3 is capital, and we know in the index of 4 and I think 6 is capital. And then we are going to enter, and we are going to get the right index number. 0 is capital, 3 is capital, 4 is capital, and 6 is capital. And then here we get the right answer. And if you are going to change the string as well to, for example, Arsha with the A capital letter, R, S, and whatever, and then F is capital letter, G is capital letter, but R is not a capital letter, and then enter, you're just going to say, okay, the index of 0 is capital because A is capital, and the index of 10 is capital because F is capital, and the index of 11 is capital because G is capital. So in this challenge, we really learn how to use condition correctly, how to use the isOpper built-in function, how to use for loop and list and functions. So we learned a lot from this simple challenge. So I really encourage you guys to visit the CodeWar website and try to solve the challenge, because it's just going to help you to improve your mindset as a programmer, and you can solve any challenge from any programming language. But my focus is on a Python programming language, because it's pretty easy and I can do anything which I want from with it, like hacking, like cyber security, like data science, machine learning. But based on your needs and based on your main programming language, you can solve the different challenges. You go to practice category here in the CodeWar. There are a lot of challenge here exist, and then I can say like 99% of them or all of them, they have a Python programming language, and you can solve those challenges with Python as well. But if you want to solve them with C# or with other programming language, you can do it as well, and it's pretty easy. So, and even we have a category here with the name of difficulty. The difficulty of 1 is the hardest. I recommend you guys to try to solve from the difficulty of 5 to 8, so your mind is going to get into it. And then after it takes in 1 month, 2 months, try to go and try more harder, like harder challenges. And you can learn a lot from these challenges, because you have to think a lot about it, and you have to search on Google, and you are going to learn how to search correctly and this kind of thing. Anyway, these days we have ChatGPT and we have some different AIs which they are going to help you a lot, but I don't recommend you guys to copy and paste the question in the ChatGPT or other AIs to answer it for you guys, because I want you guys to think about it, and I want you guys to improve your own mindset. We don't want to use any artificial intelligence. We want to use our own mind, because we are a lot more smarter than those AI tools which exist in the internet. That's it. I hope you guys love this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Sometimes I'm going to put some hacking tutorial, cybersecurity, bug bounty, and sometimes I put some Python tutorial, but my focus mostly just go around Python and hacking. And it can be like Python, it can be Python cybersecurity tool, information gathering tools, it can be phishing tools, it can be malware, rats, it can be everything, and even automation for finding a different vulnerabilities which exist in the web applications, like process of bug bounty, like finding XSS automation, a script to find XSS and other type of vulnerability. But anyway, I put the different tutorials in my YouTube channel. You can check it out and learn a lot from it. But I'm just going to try my best to put hacking tutorial and Python tutorial every day. So don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel, like this tutorial if you like it, and if you have any question, you can simply comment me below. So I'm going to try my best to answer you on time. That's it. See you later, guys. Goodbye.